Sam lived a quiet life, tucked away from the noise and bustle of the world, nestled in a remote corner of the countryside where they could enjoy a simpler existence. They spent their days tending to the modest needs of their land, taking comfort in the quiet solitude. It was a life without complications, at least until a strange glow caught Sam's attention one chilly evening. As Sam walked through the woods that night, they noticed an unusual, faint light glimmering just off the trail, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. With a mixture of curiosity and wariness, Sam approached, unsure of what they might find. There, in a small clearing, lay a peculiar pod, slightly damaged and unlike anything Sam had seen before. The material was sleek and metallic, glowing faintly with a subtle, otherworldly aura. The pod looked as though it had traveled far, worn edges, scratches, and a barely functional door suggested a rough journey, maybe even a crash landing. Sam hesitated, considering the wisdom of going further. They weren't prone to impulsive decisions, and certainly not one to interfere with the unknown. But just as they were about to turn away, a faint whimper drifted from the pod, so small it almost blended with the night breeze. Against their better judgment, Sam leaned closer, peering inside. There, curled up in the far corner, was a child, small, shivering, and undeniably alien. She had a soft glow about her, casting an ethereal light that made her delicate features seem even more otherworldly. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, a strange mix of blues and silvers that shifted with every breath. Her eyes, large and expressive, reflected a haunting blend of fear and loneliness. Sam felt their breath hitch. The sight was startling, but there was something else, something unmistakably vulnerable that softened the initial shock. The child looked up, meeting Sam's gaze with eyes wide and uncertain, clinging to a tattered piece of cloth that seemed to be the only thing keeping her warm. Despite her otherworldly appearance, the fear in her eyes was something Sam recognized deeply, something that resonated in a way beyond words or species. She looked so fragile, alone, and lost. Every practical part of Sam's mind screamed that this was not their responsibility, that they should leave now before they got involved in something beyond their understanding. But looking at her, small and scared, left behind in a world completely foreign to her, Sam couldn't bring themselves to walk away. They extended a hand slowly, trying to make themselves appear as non-threatening as possible. "It's okay," they said softly, even though they weren't sure she could understand. "You're safe now. I won't hurt you." The child stared at Sam's outstretched hand for a moment, hesitant but hopeful, and then, with a tentative movement, reached out. Her small, cold fingers wrapped around Sam's hand, and in that moment, Sam felt a wave of protectiveness rise up within them, something primal and powerful. It was as though they'd been entrusted with something precious, something they couldn't just turn away from. Sam gently helped her out of the pod, noticing the way she clung to them, trembling slightly as if uncertain whether to trust. The night air was growing colder, and Sam knew they needed to get her somewhere warm. Still holding her small hand, they guided her back through the trees toward their cabin, glancing down at her every now and then to reassure her with a gentle smile or a comforting squeeze of the hand. As they reached the cabin, the child glanced around curiously, her wide eyes taking in everything as if each small detail of this unfamiliar place was a wonder. Sam found an old, soft blanket and wrapped it around her, noticing how she seemed to relax, just slightly, in its warmth. They weren't sure what to call her, but there was a certain glow she gave off, like a moonbeam cutting through the darkness, and in a quiet, almost instinctual moment, Sam murmured, "I think I'll call you Luna." The child's eyes sparkled with a faint recognition of her new name, as though it held a special resonance for her, and she let out a small, grateful sound. Sam could tell that she was exhausted, emotionally and physically, and decided it was best to let her rest. They settled her into the small bed, carefully tucking the blanket around her. Luna drifted off to sleep, her breathing even and peaceful, casting a soft, luminescent glow in the dim room. Watching her sleep, Sam felt a pang of something unfamiliar, a blend of responsibility, wonder, and a profound sense of purpose. In that moment, Sam understood that they'd taken on more than they had bargained for, but they didn't regret it. Luna was alone, stranded, and helpless, and there was no way Sam could abandon her to that fate. As days passed, Sam settled into an unusual but rewarding rhythm, learning the basics of caring for Luna. She was a quick study, watching Sam intently and imitating everything with an eager curiosity. Despite her alien origins, she seemed to absorb new words and gestures almost intuitively, picking up Earth languages with startling speed. Sometimes, her vocabulary grew beyond what Sam had taught, as though she had a natural way of piecing together meanings from mere exposure. Every day revealed more quirks that set her apart. Luna didn't just learn fast, she seemed to have a knack for fixing things in ways that defied logic. Sam would turn their back for just a moment, only to find an old, broken-down clock ticking away or a light bulb that hadn't worked in years glowing steadily. Sam tried to chalk it up to chance at first, but over time, it became clear Luna had a gift for understanding complex systems, and sometimes it seemed like she could influence things around her with a mere touch. When they ventured outside, Luna's otherworldly traits made blending in a challenge. Despite Sam's efforts to keep her out of sight, the neighbors grew curious. They'd catch glimpses of her large, luminous eyes or her iridescent skin and start asking questions, their curiosity occasionally turning into suspicion. Sam often had to deflect these inquiries with carefully rehearsed excuses. It wasn't easy. People noticed odd things, like Luna's odd, melodic hums or her uncanny way of picking up new words in their presence. Sam's answers grew more inventive, deflecting questions with vague stories about distant relatives or medical conditions to keep Luna's origins hidden. One evening, as Sam was struggling with a stubborn old radio, Luna watched closely from across the room, her eyes gleaming with interest. She wandered over, examining the device intently, her small hands tracing its parts. Before Sam knew it, the radio crackled to life, playing a clear tune. Sam could only stare, mouth agape, as Luna looked up with a shy smile, a hint of pride twinkling in her eyes. She wasn't just fixing things, she had a connection to technology that Sam didn't fully understand. Luna's unique abilities shone in other ways too. Sam would occasionally find plants in the garden healthier, almost flourishing overnight, and lights would flicker to life whenever Luna was near. It was as though she had an instinctive touch that made her surroundings respond to her, even thrive. Sam knew better than to ask too many questions. Instead, they let her abilities reveal themselves in their own time, in quiet, surprising ways. Luna seemed happiest when she was helping, as if easing Sam's daily burdens was her way of showing gratitude. One night, after a particularly long day, Sam heard Luna whimper in her sleep. When they entered her room, they found her curled into a tight ball, trembling as if trapped in a nightmare. Without a second thought, Sam sat beside her, reaching out to gently stroke her back. Luna startled awake, her eyes wide with fear before softening as she recognized Sam's face. In a small, hesitant voice, she whispered, "Mom?" It was the first time she had called Sam anything close to family, and it was enough to choke Sam up. They held her close, whispering soothing words, letting her know she was safe. Over time, moments like these became the norm, quiet, simple gestures that grew into a shared understanding. Sam had become her protector, her family, and it was clear that Luna had come to rely on Sam for comfort and love. The weight of Luna's past, whatever she had come from, lingered like a shadow, but Sam was determined to be the safe place she needed. Each day that passed, the bond between them grew, strengthened by shared routines and unspoken promises. Through Luna, Sam learned to see the world differently. The smallest things, like a sunrise or the sound of rain, seemed new when viewed through Luna's wide-eyed wonder. Her innocence was refreshing, her laughter infectious, and her unique quirks became endearing. There were still challenges, still the need to protect her from those who might not understand, but Sam knew they would do whatever it took to keep her safe. Luna's presence had turned their quiet life into something profound, filled with wonder and a sense of purpose they had never known. Sam realized that no matter where she came from or how different she was, Luna was, in every way that mattered, theirs to love and protect. While cleaning one evening, Sam stumbled upon a small, peculiar object hidden among Luna's few belongings. It was a pendant, unlike anything Sam had seen, with an intricate design of spirals and symbols etched into its surface. It looked old yet delicate, as though it held something important within its fragile frame. Running a finger over the pendant's surface, Sam accidentally pressed a small, barely visible button on its side. To Sam's shock, the pendant emitted a soft hum, and then projected a shimmering, holographic image into the air, a faint figure speaking in a language Sam didn't understand, their features almost identical to Luna's. The image showed symbols, patterns, and a series of what looked like royal crests. Just as Sam began to make sense of it, Luna appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide with recognition as she approached slowly, gazing up at the hologram with a look of solemn understanding. Seeing her reaction, Sam realized that this wasn't just an ordinary keepsake. It was something far more significant. When the projection faded, Luna gently took the pendant from Sam's hand, holding it close as though it were a lifeline. She searched for words, piecing them together from the limited Earth vocabulary she had gathered, struggling to explain. "Me from far," she said, her voice hesitant but determined. "Home not safe." She paused, searching Sam's face to see if they understood, then continued. "Bad people want control. Family important." She touched her chest, trying to convey something beyond words, something that hinted at responsibility and loss. "I escape." The truth dawned on Sam like a thunderclap. Luna wasn't just any child stranded far from home. She was someone important, someone of royal lineage from a world embroiled in conflict. The pendant, the hologram, the hints of regality all pointed to one conclusion: Luna was not just an alien, she was an heir, a royal caught in the crossfire of a coup or civil war, exiled to Earth in an attempt to keep her safe. But if her presence here was ever discovered, Sam knew that both Luna and their quiet life together would be at risk. Sam's mind raced, overwhelmed by this revelation. It explained so much: her remarkable abilities, her rapid learning, the mysterious way she seemed to influence her environment. Yet it also opened up a well of new fears. If there were those out there searching for her, she was in danger, and by extension, so was Sam. But in that same moment of fear came a fierce resolve. Sam looked down at Luna, who watched them with a mixture of hope and trepidation, as if fearing rejection. Instead, Sam knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "Luna," they said, voice steady, "you're safe with me. No one is going to take you away. Whatever you came from, whoever is looking for you, we'll handle it together. I won't let anything happen to you." Luna's eyes softened, and she gave a small, relieved smile, the tension in her shoulders easing. For Sam, protecting her had been an unspoken promise from the very first day, but now that promise carried a new weight. This wasn't just about kindness or compassion. It was about loyalty to the little girl who had come to mean more than Sam could put into words. That night, Sam lay awake, thoughts swirling with a mixture of fear and determination. The knowledge of Luna's true heritage brought a heightened sense of urgency. She was no longer just a lost child. She was a piece of a larger story, a symbol of hope or power to those who knew her worth. Sam didn't understand the politics of her world, the conflict that had driven her here. But they knew what mattered. Luna was their family now, and that was reason enough to protect her at all costs. In the quiet darkness, as Luna slept peacefully nearby, Sam felt the full weight of their decision. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The quiet life Sam had crafted with Luna began to shift when strangers appeared around town, their faces unfamiliar, and their questions far too pointed. One day, a neighbor mentioned seeing a strange vehicle parked nearby, unmarked, its windows tinted so darkly you couldn't make out a thing. Rumors spread about people asking questions about unusual lights and strange sightings, whispers that made Sam's heart pound every time they left the house. Things only got stranger. A few nights later, Sam saw something hovering in the sky, too quiet and too fast to be a plane. They watched it from the edge of the forest, a sleek, silent craft gliding low over the treetops before disappearing beyond the horizon. Sam knew it couldn't be a coincidence. Whoever these people were, they were searching for something, or someone. The realization hit hard. They were getting closer, and sooner or later they'd find what they were looking for. Sam couldn't risk letting them find Luna. Knowing they needed a plan, Sam began taking precautions, going over every possible scenario to keep Luna safe. They made a map, marking out the paths and secluded spots they could use if they needed to make a quick escape. Their home became a fortress, as they reinforced windows and made sure they had supplies packed and ready to go. Sam even showed Luna a few hiding spots, explaining how to stay hidden if anyone unfamiliar came near. They didn't want to frighten her, but they needed her to understand the importance of staying safe. Luna listened with a seriousness beyond her years, nodding solemnly and promising to follow Sam's instructions. One evening, as they returned home from a walk in the woods, Sam's gut twisted at the sight of a figure lingering near their property line, examining the surroundings with a focused intensity. Sam immediately took Luna's hand, stepping back into the shadows and whispering for her to stay quiet. They crept closer to the house, keeping low and moving in silence. But as they rounded the corner, Sam's foot caught a loose stone, the sound echoing far too loudly in the stillness. The figure's head snapped up, and for a heart-stopping moment, their eyes locked onto Sam's. With Luna behind them, Sam felt a surge of protectiveness, standing their ground and positioning themselves in front of her. But just as the stranger took a step toward them, Luna's small hand reached up, her fingers brushing against Sam's arm. A strange, almost electric pulse surged through the air, and the lights around the house flickered. The stranger paused, momentarily disoriented, their gaze shifting uncertainly as if they were suddenly unsure of what they had seen. Sam seized the moment, guiding Luna quickly inside, bolting the door behind them. Breathless and shaken, Sam realized just how close they had come to being discovered. But there was something more, something about the way Luna had touched their arm, the strange pulse that had seemed to throw the stranger off. Sam glanced down at her, seeing a look of determination in her eyes, a silent promise that she, too, would protect them however she could. It was a brief moment, but Sam saw a glimpse of the fierce survival instinct that lay within her, a quiet strength she kept hidden behind her gentle demeanor. Once they were safely inside, Luna looked up at Sam, her eyes filled with worry. She grasped Sam's hand, her voice small yet steady. "Stay together," she said, her words halting but clear. She didn't need to say more. Sam understood her fear, the weight of their promise to each other. They knelt down, meeting her gaze, and placed a hand on her shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Always," Sam whispered. "No matter what, I'll keep you safe. I promise." Their bond had always been strong, but now it was unbreakable, forged in the face of real danger. They weren't just two souls who had found each other by chance. They were family, bound by something deeper than blood or origin. And together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The night was silent when Sam sensed that something was wrong. A prickling at the back of their neck had them glancing over their shoulder, searching the darkness beyond the window. The air felt thick, heavy with an unspoken threat. Then, from the shadows, several figures appeared, moving in unison toward the house with precision and intent. They had found them. Sam's heart pounded as they quickly led Luna toward the back exit, hoping to slip away unnoticed. But before they could make it, the door flew open, and they were surrounded. The figures blocked every exit, faces obscured, moving in a way that sent a chill down Sam's spine. This was no longer a small operation. These were agents, human, perhaps, or maybe not fully. They had come prepared, their eyes scanning the house with laser focus, their attention zeroing in on Luna. Sam's protective instinct surged, and they stepped in front of her, hands raised in a silent demand to back off. The strangers, however, moved closer, determined to complete their mission. Sam had no idea how to fight them, no idea what would happen if Luna were taken. All they knew was that they couldn't let her go. Just as one of the agents reached for Luna, a powerful wave of energy pulsed through the room. Luna's eyes began to glow, and an aura radiated from her, filling the space with a force that was as awe-inspiring as it was terrifying. Sam watched, astonished, as Luna's latent abilities came to life, shielding them in a protective barrier of light that held the agents at bay. It was as if she had finally unlocked a part of herself that had been waiting, dormant, for this very moment. The agents recoiled, their attempts to advance thwarted by the field of energy Luna now wielded with an instinctive confidence. In the midst of the tension, a new sound filled the air, a hum, deep and resonant, growing louder by the second. Sam looked up and saw lights descending from above, more ships appearing in the sky. But unlike the earlier, silent ones, these had a gentler presence, with a sense of calm emanating from them. Luna's gaze softened, and she reached out toward the ships, as though calling them closer. The newcomers descended with precision, landing nearby, and from the lead ship emerged a group of figures with an air of authority. They were Luna's people, guards or allies, bearing the same insignia Sam had seen on her pendant, marking them as her protectors. One of them approached and bowed to Luna, their gestures respectful and deferential, acknowledging her as someone of great importance. They turned to Sam, nodding with a look that conveyed gratitude for the care and protection they had provided. In halting but sincere words, one of the figures explained that Luna had been sought after and missed by her people, who had been searching across the galaxy for her after her escape. Then came a moment Sam had dreaded but knew was inevitable: the offer for Luna to return home, to reclaim her place among her people, a place where she could be safe and loved in a world made for her. Sam felt a pang of loss, but they forced a smile, looking down at Luna with an encouraging nod. It was her choice now. Luna looked from Sam to her people, then back at Sam, her expression torn. She reached out and took Sam's hand, her small fingers wrapping tightly around theirs. Her eyes were filled with both love and a sadness beyond her years. Sam gave her hand a reassuring squeeze, a silent message that they wanted her to be happy, wherever that might be. After a long moment, Luna turned back to her people and shook her head. She knelt by Sam, pressing her forehead against theirs in a gesture she had picked up from Earth, a sign of closeness and love. Her decision was clear: she wanted to stay with Sam, with the person who had become her family. Her people understood, bowing in acceptance of her choice, though they extended an offer, the possibility of visits, an open connection between their world and Sam's, should she ever change her mind. It was a kindness Sam hadn't anticipated, a bridge between worlds that could unite them in ways they had never thought possible. As the ships prepared to depart, Luna watched them go, her face calm, content in her decision. When the last light faded from the sky, she turned to Sam, smiling. Together, they walked back into their home, their bond now unbreakable. The events of that night remained unspoken between them, understood in the deep, unshakable love that had grown between them, a love that knew no borders or species, only loyalty and trust. In the days that followed, Sam found themselves reflecting on how their life had changed since the day they'd found Luna. She was a reminder of humanity's capacity for love, bravery, and kindness, qualities that reached across the stars. Sam knew they had become part of something much larger, something that reminded them of the possibilities of compassion and unity, a reminder that even in a vast universe, the heart's capacity to care remained limitless.